Welcome to the Fitness Business Podcast, your free weekly resource to make you a better fitness business leader. I'm JT, the boss of Active Management, and I'm pumped with the rest of the Active Management team to be the premier sponsor again in 2017. Doing this helps us achieve our why in business, which is to reduce the healthcare costs across the globe, so we love supporting it. Between you and us, we can get more people moving and more often. So let's get our hustle mode on. No matter where you are listening in the world, make sure you check out www.fitnessbusinesspodcast.com/active for an extra special business resource to free up time for you so that you can then do what you love. Okay, enough from me. Who's on this week's show, Chantel?
Thanks, JT. Hey, everyone. Today's guest is John Bellamy from Direct MSGing, which is a direct response communications company. And today, the topic we're talking about is LinkedIn. I'm sure you already know, but just in case you don't, LinkedIn is the world's largest professional network. And if you're not already using it to grow your database of fitness clients, you're not alone. It's actually a really underutilized platform by so many people within the fitness industry. So John is here today to tell us why we should be using it and how we should be using it.
The Fitness Business Podcast is very appreciative of our podcast partners. Here's a quick word from one of our partners.
ABC Financial leads the health and fitness industry in software and payment processing solutions. If you want your business to thrive with the most advanced club management software, comprehensive payment processing, and customer service that is second to none, choose ABC Financial. Request a demo at www.abcfinancial.com. As mentioned earlier, today's guest is John Bellamy. Having been a direct response marketer since 1999, John has helped thousands of customers in many industries, including management consulting, finance, sales, IT, manufacturing, and many, many more. He's helped them develop more conversations and more sales with their ideal future customers. As the co-founder and CEO of Direct MSGing, John helps establish time-poor business owners to monetize their existing database, increase their reach, and have someone to do the heavy lifting for them. John, that is a very, very impressive bio, so I've got no doubts that your days are quite busy. Do you think you can maybe share with us 3 apps, systems, or rituals that you use to stay focused and not get overwhelmed?
Yeah, cool. So apps. Love them. So for me,
don't we all?
We do. I mean, the big things that we use in the business is LinkedIn, obviously, for a no-brainer, and that's what we talk about every day. Infusionsoft is our email marketing platform, and that's just really focused on developing those conversations and nurturing. And like the appointment call for calendar booking systems, so that'd be 3 apps. As far as rituals for me, I meditate every single day. And if my feet don't hit the sand, at least, if I miss a day, worst case 2 days from it, I really feel unstructured. So that's it for me. So if I can be at the beach every day, wherever I am, that would be amazing.
Well, you know what? It kind of helps when you live as close to the beach as you do, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're about 300 metres away, so it's not the close, but it's close. It's good.
That's not so bad. That's not so bad. So, Tribe John was just telling me which part of Australia he lives in and describing it to me, so I can tell you he's not too far away from where you can put your feet in the sand. So no wonder that's an important part of your rituals.
I would never move back to the main city, I don't think, after living on the coast.
after you've left. Fair enough too. Okay, so basically it was really interesting because it was only just yesterday I was actually having a chat to JT from Active Management, and we were talking about, unfortunately, how few fitness professionals we're seeing these days on LinkedIn. So I guess I want to get straight to the point with you. Can you maybe give us the top 5 reasons why every single fitness professional should be on LinkedIn?
Yeah, cool. Well, I think, the main reason why they're not there is because they just don't understand the platform. So why should they be there? If they're, first and foremost, LinkedIn is the largest professional network globally, and I stress the professional network. So typically, they have a higher dollar value from a client perspective. From that aspect, all of the Fortune 500 organizations are presented on there, so they're on there. And really, if you're targeting those high net worth individuals or looking at corporate training programs or anything like that, it's an absolute must. It's just another lead in And I think finally is that, and this is a big misconception, is people are, they just see this LinkedIn thing as a networking hub, whereas it's actually a lead generation and marketing tool. And that's what I wanted to talk about today.
Excellent. We'll definitely dive into that some more. Just to, I guess, set the scene for everyone, can you maybe run us through what the key components are of everyone's LinkedIn profile?
Yeah, absolutely. So starting from the top of the profile, first and foremost, you must have a corporate-looking headshot on there. You holding a fish probably doesn't cut it, or a dumbbell. It's a personal branding platform, so you definitely want a quality headshot. So invest in a good photographer. The next important thing is your headline. So this is where most people will say like personal trainer, CrossFit gym owner, or something like that. Where if you're looking for a job, that's okay, but not amazing from a marketing perspective. So you really want to think of a direct response headline. So I help XYZ, or I create amazing results for CEOs or for overworked CEOs, for example. Moving through from there, it really goes into your background summary, and this is probably the vital part of your actual profile. And in this, you really want to follow a copywriting principle, which is story, segue, sell. So this is where you really connect emotionally with your key target audiences, emotions, problems, and challenges that they're facing. Segue into why they should connect with you, your experience, why you're great, how you can help solve their problems. And then, the sell component is essentially the call to action to get them to hit the magic blue button to connect with you or send you a connection request. Other than those three things, the only other thing only have a couple of things you really want to look at is your experience. So this is more about your company that you work for, so that, positioning from the commercial brand or the corporate brand, and then think about the keywords that you want to be ranked for. Just like in search engine optimization or Google or anything like that, you really want to be thinking about who your target market is and what they're searching for. What are those keywords and phrases?
So, John, let's say, for example, that our target market, if we looked at maybe a typical personal trainer or a typical fitness business, and maybe their target market isn't necessarily a corporate, but maybe it's someone like mums, maybe it's someone like women 18 to 39, for example. If that was the case, what would you suggest in that situation?
Yeah, cool. So I would. This is one of those big challenges when it comes to like LinkedIn and marketing in general, because people look at my target market is, like I said before, like CEO or mums or whatever it is. And at the end of the day, you're right. People are people, and the reason why most people get confused with LinkedIn is because they see that professional network. So they go, but I'm targeting mums, but they're not on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
you're like. There's many mums that I know that are professionals. So I would be from a headline perspective, I would be saying you still want to tweak it into LinkedIn, but I'd be looking like, I help professional women with children.
Excellent.
So I help professional women with children, and then insert what they want, butts, ab, thighs, whatever the target market is from there. And you can sort of be a little bit cheeky as well, like if you know your market and that's your influence and authenticity coming through that as well. You can be a little bit cheeky with your headline.
Yeah. Okay.
Because if you think about like what that target market actually wants, for example, so if you were like, for example, if you were a female fitness professional and your target market was like, corporate women, and you just knew, and because you work with that market all the time, you just knew that the biggest hang up or emotional hang up or the biggest thing that they really are upset about is, for example, getting a big backside because they sit down all day. Like, for example, it is what it is. That is like, use that in your marketing, and you can say, listen, I help overworked female corporate executives, trim up and shape up around their butt, abs, and thighs.
Yep. So what you're saying is by being that little bit cheeky and I guess creating a unique point of difference,
correct, that
is what's going to attract people to your LinkedIn profile.
Correct. Yeah, correct. Because, I mean, like if we're all honest, it's like, PTs, there's a PT on every corner now, like there is a recruitment agent, like there is a mortgage broker. So how do you as that individual personal trainer, or how do you and your personal training business or your CrossFit business or your gym, how do you actually stand out? And essentially, how can you buy customers or future customers' attention? And why should they come and work with you versus everybody else?
Yep. I want to talk about the contact side of things because, when you go onto LinkedIn, you can see some people that might have, 100 contacts on their list and some people that might have 500 plus or 1,000 plus, all these different categories. Can you maybe talk us through some strategies that our tribe could go out to use to increase their number of contacts on LinkedIn?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll give you the proven formula, and this one's guaranteed to produce results. And essentially what you really want to be looking at is you get your profile right, and then you want to be focused in on who it is that you want to connect with. So that target market. You then want to go into this connection mode, and that's where you're sending a personalized connection request, and you're sending on average 125 a week, so 25 a day, outbound connection requests. And now where a lot of people will get into the challenge is that they will just go and send the connection request, but they won't do any follow-up. Okay, it's just like going to a networking event, a live networking event, collecting business cards and never having a conversation with them ever again. Unfortunately, that's the way the majority of people use LinkedIn, Facebook, and all of those platforms. So you've got to. So the simple form is you want to reach out to 25 people a day and send a connection request. And then on top of that is when they accept the connection request, this is where you want to look at the system behind that to go, okay, how can we follow up? How can we nurture? How can we, build that know, like, and trust factor within that market now, or within that lead that we're now developing?
Okay, so what's your tips on that next step?
Yeah, cool. So our process, we follow a 4-step process. First we connect, then we communicate, then we convert, and then finally we cultivate those relationships ongoing. So typically from a LinkedIn, or like an on LinkedIn platform perspective, we would have a connection message and then 3 to 5 follow-up messages. So if we look at a PT, for example, or a fitness professional, I would reach out and, send a personalized connection request, and it'd be something like, hey, Barry, it's John here from, XYZ organization. I'm looking at increasing my professional network so that I can share valuable insights in relation to fitness, nutrition, and living a healthier lifestyle, for example. Look forward to connecting. Chat soon, John. And then so that's the connection request. And then when they accept the connection request, we could then send them a thank you message, and it could just be like, hey, Barry, John here. Just wanted to say, a big thank you for accepting my connection request. Really looking forward to hearing and learning more about what you do and your role and you as a person over the coming days and weeks. Reach out with any questions. Chat soon, John. P.S. I recently, it might be an article or something. I recently wrote an article on, how you can squeeze in 15 minutes of high impact exercise during the workday. Click here to check it out. Nice. So that could be your thank you message. Yeah.
And let me ask you this, John. Sorry to interrupt.
You're right.
With both those examples of messages that you've just given us, because you did mention it was like a personalized connection message and then, personalized communication back to them. Is that something that we do manually each time with each of those 125 contacts per week, or is there an automated system within LinkedIn that we can utilize to shoot those messages off?
Yeah, cool. So there's the great question. So there's no automated system inside of LinkedIn. LinkedIn have a quite a protective API in their techie terms. So there's no real automation process out there that's amazing from that perspective. But what we do recommend, so if people are doing this themselves, if they're doing this themselves and they know how to operate a computer and like Microsoft Word, congratulations, they can master the copy and paste function. And like literally, we're talking 30 minutes, 30 minutes on and off a day and you're done with LinkedIn. You don't need to invest any more time than that. 30 minutes is max that you need to invest, or, they can engage with somebody like us or somebody else to actually just do the work for them. Okay. So just mastering the copy and paste but personalizing and templating that process. Like when I say personalize the message, I don't mean like, when I say you have a template, but you personalize their name in there. You're not going to write a brand new message for each individual person that you're sending out.
Okay. So
you'll be there forever. Yep.
So we've covered off connect and communicate. Take us into convert and cultivate.
Yeah, cool. So how the communicate and the convert fall in together is like after that thank you message, you might then have another 3 or so messages where you're still adding value, but the objective is to convert them off platform. So you might send a follow-up message which drives them to a content article, a video, whatever it might be. You might even just ask them a pointed question. And a pointed question you could just ask is like, I'll use that Barry. Hey, Barry, it's John here from XYZ Trainers again. Listen, I'm going to really, really quick and direct. I'm curious, what do your fitness goals look like for the year ahead? ? Thanks for sharing, John. Just something as simple as that. And, some will come back and respond, some won't. Some will get angry and tell you to, leave me alone and never speak to me again. But we're looking for that 1% to 3% in any form of marketing. So those ones that come back and say, well, actually, I've been saying to my wife or I've been saying to my husband or my partner or whatever that I really want to get down to 10% body fat this year. It's a massive goal. We could just go, hey, well, you just respond to them and just say, hey, well, that sounds like an awesome goal. I'm curious, are you working with anybody at the moment, or would you be open to having a conversation? Maybe I've got a couple of tips that could help you out. When would be great to have a chat?
Sorry, John, what I'm hearing is it's really about building that connection and that rapport with someone on the platform.
Yeah, building that connection and rapport. So we want to have them on platform, but then drive them off, and it's all about conversations and casual conversations.
Right.
So, for example, I think where a lot of fitness professionals probably have all of this information, I can guarantee it. They have all this information right now. They might just not have it in a way that they could share it digitally. And what I'm talking about here is like testimonials, case studies, and just plain old results. So, for example, if I use that scenario where we're talking to Barry and he says, you know what, I just want to get down to 10% body fat, John, the personal trainer, actually might have a case study or a video where he has a training regime or a case study of, Mary or Dominic who literally worked with him for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and they went from 17% body fat down to 10, for example. It's sort of like, and I hate using this as as the correlation, but sort of like the impact of a Biggest Loser.
Yep.
So we've got, I was this overweight, or I was unhappy with my life, or maybe I was pretty happy, but I just wanted to get better. And this is what I did, and then here was the outcome. So if they can share a video or a piece of information and then go, hey, let's just have a chat. Let's just jump on the phone for 10, 15 minutes. Let me find out a bit more about you, tell you a bit more about us. And if we feel like we're a fit and we want to explore, a complimentary session or just start working together, then great, we can do it. And, equally, if we find out that we're not a fit, well, that's cool, but at least I've given you some pointers and I've helped you out.
And do you find, John, that if someone has gotten that far in the conversation and by that stage you've already made that connection, they're now, you've connected with them as friends, that type of thing, do you find that it is beneficial that you then begin to upload posts and you then start a further communication process so that you're staying connected with that person regardless of whether or not you've converted them into a client?
Absolutely. So for example, what we recommend is like when clients are working with us, we're able to actually build a database based on the people that we're connecting with on LinkedIn. So we're extracting like their contact details, email address, and all of that. And then this is why I love LinkedIn so much is it can be sort of like the cornerstone of your cross-channel marketing strategy. So I'm pretty confident that most PTs out there are probably running Facebook or Instagram, as one of their marketing metrics.
I think you're right. Yep.
Yeah. So what people don't know about LinkedIn is when we build that database, we can then go and import that information or that database into, for example, Facebook and create a custom audience based on your LinkedIn connections. So, for example, you might, let's just say you have 1,000 LinkedIn connections. You load that audience up to Facebook and then we might do a data match and we might find that we get out of those 1,000, we might get 700 that are a match to Facebook profiles. And then what we can do is in the cross-channel marketing strategy, we can remarket to our LinkedIn connections on Facebook. So we can start to really, educate and develop those relationships, all because we connected with somebody on LinkedIn. I don't recommend, just exporting the data, throwing it into an email marketing platform and spamming them in that regard. But, if you do have a educational reach out strategy, by all means do that. That's what we do. And just looking at getting compliance and, making sure that that we're just educating and influencing that marketplace.
John, I'm going to ask you to be super specific here. When you talk about loading the audience and you talk about extracting data from LinkedIn, is there a function within LinkedIn that says export contact list now, or are you suggesting that what we need to do is take our contact, physically, manually take our contact list import it into or manually put it into an Excel, for example, or into our CRM database, which then we can extract.
Yeah, cool. So what I'm saying is, yes, you can export your database off LinkedIn. They have made some changes over the recent weeks and months, but you can request an export of your database from LinkedIn, and that will give you some of the information. If people work with us directly, though, we actually we capture that information. I won't go into that, but we capture that information and build a live database for our clients that way. So either way, you can gather that database in like a CSV or an Excel file. And then what you can then do, now you've got this data, you can upload that into Facebook, for example, and create a custom audience there. But I would also go and upload that into some type of CRM email marketing platform where you can house that data, so you've maintained a record of that information.
Excellent. And you talked earlier about actually in the Quickfire 5 last week, I think it was, you talked about having Infusionsoft. So that's a great example of a CRM, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, like a CRM, there's a gazillion out on the market. We use Infusionsoft for a PT starting out. One of the best ones out there on the market right now that we recommend is ActiveCampaign, and they can start at that with like $10 a month US. So it's very cost effective to get into it.
Excellent. Okay, now I want to talk to you a little bit more about the whole going down the path of writing a post or posting an article on LinkedIn. In order for us to really connect with that audience and maintain that relationship with that audience, what are your recommendation around the type of post, the timing of post, the frequency of post? What can you give us on that?
Yeah. So as a starting point, I would recommend just focusing on the longer form articles. So they've got LinkedIn articles, which are essentially like a blog post. And as a fitness professional, if you had the goal of creating one every fortnight, just as the starting point, that would be solid. Now, anybody can create content, but you need eyeballs on the content. So what I would highly recommend doing, and this is once again where they could leverage Facebook or YouTube or something like that, is I would personal training is such a visual medium and where people want to see results. And if you're thinking of, okay, I'm going to put a workout together and that's going to be my content marketing, is just showing people some workout regimes. Like, for example, I think it's, I'm trying to think what the guy's name is, but Men's Health. It comes up on Facebook all the time, and they constantly are just pushing little 30-second to 1-minute videos on little different workouts.
Yep.
So if you as a PT or a fitness professional recorded a really quick, workout, or spoke about a particular, how to really reduce, fat storage in your body, or spoke about, surefire ways to, increase strength, or whatever the content might be, I'd recall a really quick video, either do a live stream on Facebook and grab the embed code, or just record it direct off a camera and load it to YouTube. And you can embed that video in the content piece on LinkedIn. Now, underneath the video content, this is where I just write a blog, and it doesn't need to be massive. It can be 300 to 800 words. And then I'd be messaging that out to your audience on LinkedIn. So the people that you're connecting with, I'd reach out and I'd say, hey, Barry, it's John here from, PT Plus. I've been getting a lot of questions about, how to go from 17 to 10% body fat. It's actually not as easy as what people think, but it's actually really simple. That's why I wanted to share this article and video with you. Go check it out here. And we just want to get more eyeballs on it, because content isn't king. Everyone talks about content is king. Yeah, it was king probably 10 years ago. Its engagement is king. And unless we're getting eyeballs on it and people are commenting below on it and asking for more information or downloading some free stuff, that's where it's going to be highly valuable.
Yeah, so we really want that engagement. And it's interesting from a personal perspective, I have to say that we made the decision probably about 6 or 8 months ago to start posting the show, Fitness Business Podcast, each week, putting that post up on my LinkedIn profile. And I would say that it has not only grown my my contacts and my following, but absolutely the engagement that I have with a number of our listeners. So I must say personally for us that was a great move, and that's, posting the show up there every single week. So your advice for fitness businesses to be posting, at the end of the day, we're all doing it on Facebook anyway, aren't we? We're putting content onto Facebook or Instagram or the website. So it's just about realizing the importance of LinkedIn and what it can actually deliver for our businesses, that we need to be utilizing this platform more than probably any of us are doing right now.
Absolutely. And if I break it down really simply for the listeners for you, essentially, if you look at a structure of an article, this is the process that we follow. We want a, eye-catching headline. We want a video in at least 80, 90% of the blog posts that we create or articles that we create. We want a really short, punchy text that's valuable, and a call to action to do something. So that's download. Usually for us, it's download, comment below, book in for a call, check out a webinar. So and a nice little lead, so we're capturing data. And off the back of that content piece that you create, and this is why I say you only need to create, as a starting point, 2 content pieces a month. You can then go and do the little sound bites, which is sort of like a Twitter post or a Facebook update, which lead directly back to that article. So if you created 10 to 15, different little sound bites or snippets or whatever that you can drive directly back to that article that you've created, there's your social media strategy. That's a beautiful thing. But here's the clincher. The easiest, because everyone goes, I don't know what I can write about, or I don't know what content to produce. All you need to do is focus on the frequently asked questions. Just think about, what do your clients constantly ask you, or what do everyone that you speak to constantly ask you about fitness, about increasing muscle mass, strength, whatever, losing weight, whatever it might be, and just write to the audience write to your market.
That is such a good tip, John. I love that one. Now, speaking of tips, I'm hoping you can leave us with just 3 more, because this is fascinating stuff. I love this, and I'm going to call you the king of LinkedIn, because you've helped us out so much today. But we like to finish off the show with a bit of Fitbispiration, and today I'm hoping that you can leave us with 3 tips on LinkedIn that maybe a more advanced LinkedIn user, someone who might be on it currently, could use to actually get more sales. I can't wait to hear those tips from John, but first let's hear from one of our fantastic partners. Collaborative thinking to solve business challenges. Sound like a good idea? Just one advantage of Rex Roundtables in Australia, Europe, and the US. Go to rexroundtables.com. Now let's go back to John as he leaves us with his top tips for getting more sales on LinkedIn.
So remember in the beginning, I think I mentioned dumb and boring.
Yes, you did. I'm trying to think if that was in your pre-call quick 5 last week.
Yes. So I think that now this is the thing. There is no magic pill, and what I find is so many people try and overcomplicate it. It's probably like getting fit. There's really no magic pill to getting fit. It's just following a program and committing to it. So I think that the key things for them is consistency. They've got to commit to the strategy. So even though they might be on LinkedIn and they're doing stuff right now, how they're going to generate more business is they want to consistently be building the database. So consistently reaching out to 25 people a day. They want to be consistently following up and asking questions, adding value, but also being direct in their response, and direct in hey, you know what? I actually transform people's lives here. And it's having that confidence behind them. I actually transform people's lives. Let me introduce you to Sally. This is what she looked like when she started working with me. This is what she's at now. Let's have a chat. If you're serious about fitness, let's go. Let's work. So really have that direct momentum and confidence behind them. And what the really smart advanced users are doing, exporting that database. So really working and being focused on who are we connecting with, and then leveraging that database into other mediums. And the mediums that are typically working really well is the remarketing on Facebook. We're also looking at the electronic direct mail, so the email nurturing through an Infusionsoft active campaign. And then even, because most PTs probably won't do this, is look at some form of direct mail.
Tribe, I'm going to jump in here because I've actually spoken to John a lot further about direct mail, and it's something that I'm going to share with you all in an upcoming show. So I just need you to hold tight, and I promise we will dive into that in some more detail very, very soon. Hey, John, This has been such a fascinating conversation. I'm really grateful for you coming on because I feel like LinkedIn is, as I said right at the very beginning, it's a platform that all of us should be embracing. It's something that we need to get our heads around. We can't just keep kind of pushing it to the side because Facebook and Instagram and the other channels are more fun and easier to kind of get on top of. I think that you have made LinkedIn very approachable now, and it's something that we can all take some of those actions that you've talked about and implement them into our business. So if someone wants to have a chat to you a little bit further in regards to everything we've talked about today, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Yeah, cool. So there's the first way is, we're on LinkedIn, so you can connect with John Bellamy on LinkedIn. And what I'd love to do is if you're open to having a conversation with myself or one of the team, you can just go to directmessaging.com/consult. So that's direct messaging, and it's MSGing.com/consult. That would be the best way.
Fantastic. And needless to say, we will put that link in today's show notes, Tribe. So, John, thank you so much for joining us today on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Pre-Core Quickfire 5.
Thanks, Harper. So, Tribe, it dawned on me that week after week, I ask our guests about what their Pre-Core Quickfire 5 answers are, and yet I've never shared mine with you guys. So rather than speak to next week's guest, I hope you don't mind if maybe you get to know me a little bit more and I tell you my answers to the Pre-Core Quickfire 5. So first things first, why do I do what I do? Well, I host the podcast because, first of all, I think you all know that I'm passionate about fitness, but most importantly to me, I host it because I feel like if I can share and if I can distribute educational information to you, to fitness professionals across the world, then hopefully I'm doing my little bit to help all of you in your role, which is the most important role because you guys are out there changing people's lives. The best piece of advice that I've ever received was from my dad, and he said, just whatever you do, make the most of every single day. A personal habit that helps me become better at what I do is something that I only learnt about a year ago, and I learnt it from listening to the Amy Porterfield podcast, and she has a habit that's called Tiger Time. And basically what that means is that there is a section of my day, which is when I'm actually editing this show, that I set myself a specific amount of time, and I am 100% strict on not checking anything online during that time. So I shut off my phone, shut off my emails, all of my social media accounts. And as she describes it, basically you need to be fiercely protective of that time, which is why it's called Tiger Time. And for me, I find by doing that, by allocating that Tiger Time, it just means that I get through my podcast edits so much faster than if I was going to do it and have constant interruptions. The book that I'd recommend is actually an oldie but a goodie. I first came across this probably about 20 years ago when I first started my career, and I come back to it so many times, and that is Edward de Bono's 6 Thinking Hats. I think it's a really practical book and something that we can utilize over and over again. And the thing is, I'm not going to tell you why to come back next week. What I'll tell you is that as I'm actually recording this, I'm sitting in Santa Monica, and it's the eve of Ursa 2017. And over the next few weeks, shows 95 and 96 in particular, I'm going to be sharing with you the best information that I take away from Ursa. I've got a pretty full-on schedule, so I hope to be able to share a lot of really good, really useful information with you guys. And I'm also going to tell you about some of the gym visits that I've been doing whilst I'm here. If you've been following the Insta stories, you'll probably will have seen a few little snippets of what I've been up to, but I'm going to share some of the customer experiences that I've had and tell you some of my recommendations on the things that you should, and in some cases, maybe you shouldn't consider for your business. That's it today for the Pre-Core Quickfire 5. Tribe, I really hope you enjoyed today's show. I thought it was fascinating having a chat to John about LinkedIn. It definitely opened my eyes up about a few sort of changes that I know that I'm going to go and make to my personal profile and the way that I liaise with and communicate with the people that I connect with on that platform. So I hope that you feel the same way, and I hope you've learned some great takeaways that you can implement for your business today. So thank you so much for joining me for another week of the Fitness Business Podcast. And remember, what you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others.
Great show this week that you should be suffering DOMs, delayed onset mind soreness, as you are overloaded and that's when your mind is strengthened. You and your business have been strengthened thanks to the amazing support of our premier sponsor, Active Management. Check out www.activemgmt.com.au only if you want to strengthen your business and your leadership. Don't forget all today's links and notes are found at www.fitnessbusinesspodcast.com, where you can also subscribe and never miss a show and maybe win a prize. Next week is another incredible guest with Chantal, so get ready for more Fit Bizpiration.